really else to show you. In fact, while I've been rambling on, I could have done the damn job. So I'm going to clean this up, take the bits off, and then we're going to start to assemble. I've got all my parts together now. One of the things I want to change is the O-ring on the intermediate shaft at the back. The front one never leaks, but the back one, I think it sways around a little bit and it wears out. So we're going to change it while we're here. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this, but I've just got my punch. I'm going to do this a different way so we don't have to strip the whole box down. I've punched the nut at the top with some pop marks and 2 pop marks on there, so we know that the nut goes back to the right place, and then we'll tension it back over again. Now, to get it's stalked over, so I've got, you know, these little screwdriver things you get in a set that you never use? Machine it down or grind it down so it fits into that slot. And then that will go in, hopefully, and open up where it's been pinned over, and that should come out again with a 30mm socket. And we'll just spin it off. Oh, wait a minute, I have to go and get the airline, just a second. Right, back again. So we're going to spin that off. It doesn't take much getting off. But you can see there where I popped it and onto there. So the next thing is we're going to put the nut on. I'm going to put it on backwards. And then we're going to tap it through. All these bits out of the way. Turn this round. Oops. Like that. There. And there is the offending O-ring. Here. This is the one that leaks all the time. So let's do a zoomette. See if we can see it. This one here. Alright, there's an O-ring on there. So let me go and get an O-ring and we'll get that taken off. Right. Take that off, and it is super hard. Ow! It's just broken apart. Look. That's how hard that is. All right. Also put the bloody spike through my finger. Now, there are 2 types of O-ring. There is that one, and there is that one. So we compare them, we find out it's that one, not that one. This one must be off an earlier gearbox or transfer case. Get rid of that. I'll tell you the part number, but it's worn off. It's FRC something. We put it back on, make sure it's nice and clean. You can see how supple that is, and it's going to move. It's going to be nice. Let me get my oil can out, we'll pop it back in. There we go. The oil on there. Oh, I forgot to turn my light on. Probably that's a bit better. And then we'll just tap it in. It'll be a bit tight. There we go. And now, you're supposed to put a new nut on. I haven't got one. So what we're going to do now is tighten that nut up until we feel a bit of resistance, but not overly tight. So I'm not going to tighten this up with a big gun. I'm going to get my socket and ratchet, and we're going to tighten it up, and then we're going to pin it over again. Ideally, a new nut. I must admit we need a new nut. But I'll tell you what, let's do a trick. I'll tell you what, we'll do a little trickette. the old fitting trick. What I'm going to do is going to surface this grind. I'm going to put this on the grinder and just grind it down flat so that this, wow, look at the blood in here. Hey, I don't get paid for that, you know. So that is a bit damaged there. So when we line it back up again, we want that to go a little bit like that. So we've got some fresh meat. So let me get myself patched up and grind that nut down. Right, back again. I just ground off this on the side of the grinder. I know you're not supposed to use grindstones on the side, but at least you know it's flat. So the pop marks aren't going to really line back up again, but it'll give us an approximation where they want to be. So we put that nut on, and then we'll tighten it down. Right, let's see. The reason why we have to do it like this is there's a sleeve inside there, which is a sleeve that crushes onto some bearings. Keep a lookout for where our mark is. I think we're getting there. Yeah, so we're almost there. I'm just going to go a little bit past it, so we've got some fresh meat on there underneath to pop. So by grinding a little bit of metal off there, let's zoom in. By grinding a little bit of metal off the flange, we can turn this a bit further. We've got it in the right place. So now we've got somewhere nice to stalk it over. So I'm going to get a punch and I'll stalk that back again. So let's see. There. So that's not going to come off. The next thing, we're going to assemble this new housing. Now before we do that, I want to show you something interesting. These are the two drives. Oh, I'm still on Zoom. Wait a minute. There we go. These are the two drives. Can you see what the difference is? Hey? Anyone? Anyone? Notice the gear drive here for the Speedo is black. This one is blue. So even if you manage to squeeze a cable onto that hole, which you wouldn't do, the drive ratio would be wrong. The gear on here is always the same, but it's the number of teeth on here that is the difference. All right, so that's an easy one. Now this had a paper gasket on. I'm going to spend 5 minutes and clean off that gasket, and then we can put that in. I'm going to also put this through the parts washer and clean this bit up. Right, I haven't got any of that special Loctite, but what I'm going to do is put some thread, a little bit of thread sealer on these bolts. The main aim of that is just because it hasn't got a gasket on, it's to stop it leaking oil down the threads. Just a little smear on. It's not acting like a Loctite because the bolts are okay, but it's just to stop the oil running down. Again, when we're miles from anywhere, we have a bit of a... It's almost like being in the flipping desert. So there we go. So that's going to be a bit boring. Well, maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. Can't be that boring because I just watched a man put a spare wheel on the back of a Land Rover the other day. You know who you are, you know. Anyway. So we're going to spin those down and then we're going to torque them up. The torque specified was 45 Newton meters, so get your torque wrench. 45 Newton meters isn't a lot. And do it diagonally opposite. Now, you've probably noticed that the... did I do that one? The silicone, the RTV type silicone, I'll just go around them again and check them. There we go. The RTV type silicone is drying. It's not drying. It's squidging out quite evenly all the way around. Now if you put a big bead on, you'd have it all over the place, and that's waste product. I don't like waste. So, what are we going to do next? I'm not sure about... The seal in this is really hard because this came out of the old gearbox, so we're going to change that seal. Let me go and get some tools. Back again. So we're going to take this dust cover off here. Well, it's not really a dust cover, it's a drip collector. We're going to take that off, like that. Then we've got to get the seal out using our same pry bar. With a bit of luck. You have to be very good at balancing in this job. This is the old seal. It's quite hard. This is the new style of seal. You can see there's a considerable difference. This has got more lips, bigger lips than Mick Jagger. So we're going to put that in. FTC 4939. All right? That was kaput. Now, to put the seal in, all you need, a bit of exhaust pipe. I have no special tool to put these in because it won't go over the shaft. But I found a little bit of exhaust pipe, and you can actually open and close these and get different sizes to put your seals in. So let's do that. Oops. Oh, there's a good another seal. Start it off evenly. Get your tooly wooly. Bang with your fingers. There. Simple, eh? So, after that, we can replace